Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's a CHGO Cubs postgame show podcast. Fly the W. It is a Cubs win in Baltimore against the best team in the American League. The Cubs pound the Orioles 9-2. Luke Stuckmeyer, Ryan Herrera, Cody Delmendo, Kevin Wells running the ones and twos. We finally get to talk about a Cubs win and a win against a good team. How about that?
How about that? Who would have thought?
What was your favorite part of the streak? I honestly don't remember the last time we did a winning postgame. And we can't count Corey and Brennan. Like the three of us sitting here talking about a win. I legitimately don't remember. Their win against the Phillies last week was on July 4th.
Sure,
so the week before, I'm like, did they win during the week? Then
I don't remember.
I don't remember
talking about a win this season. That's the way it feels to me.
That's what it feels like.
I don't remember when the last beer bat was.
Beer bat's canceled until
further notice.
Until we're not the third worst team in the National League, and until I feel like they're playing up to their standards. And tonight was a good start.
That's right. This is a nice way to start the road trip. And don't forget that on Friday we'll be out amongst the people.
Luke Stuckmeyer will be amongst the people.
Watch party in Carroll Stream Village Tavern and Grill. The world-famous chicken tenders there will be tested. We will have merch for sale. We will have Blue Moon specials, merch giveaways, and we'll watch the Cubs cards together. So if you can get out there Friday, join us. By then, it could be a big winning streak.
Could be.
Could be a big winning streak headed into the All-Star break.
I talked myself into a 5-2 week, like I said yesterday. Don't let me talk myself into a 7-game winning streak to go into the All-Star break. Okay?
7-game winning
Don't
streak.
let me do it, okay? I am
Spray bottle.
I have a massive problem, okay? Don't encourage it, okay?
It's one win. Hey, Taillon was good again, though. Like, you can't. I know people were really down on his first season with the Cubs. He's been good this year. His ERA is under 3. These are his last 7 starts, 3 runs, 2 runs, 2 runs, 3 runs, 0 runs, 1 run, 2 runs. The last 3 games, 6 innings, 2 earned runs against the Orioles, best team in the American League. Game before that, 7 innings, 2 earned runs against the Phillies.
Very good.
Great team.
Right?
And 6 innings, 3 earned runs against the Brewers. All 3 quality starts against what will be 3 playoff teams for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he's not giving you elite pitching, like Cy Young level pitching, but you're not asking him to do that. You're asking him to go out, give you a quality start, or keep you in a position to win a baseball game, or even if he gives up a couple runs today, right? But just keep you in a position to win a baseball game or at least close to it. And just pitch well. All you're asking is for him to pitch well, maybe give you a quality start, but you're not asking him to do much more for you. And he's done a really good job of just going out and giving you good outing after good outing after good outing, with even a couple of really good ones mixed in there. Maybe, obviously he had the there was one. I mean, the White Sox one wasn't great, right? But that was over a month ago, and since then he's been really good. So again, you're not asking him to do what Justin Steele and Shota Imanaga have done. You're asking him to do just about what he's doing now, and that's more than good enough from Jameson Taillon. It's been really good.
You mentioned the White Sox start. He gave up 10 hits in that start, and if I remember that game correctly, he was just kind of getting. I wouldn't say that it was bad luck. It was just he was giving up too much contact in that game, and I would say what he's improved upon since then is that he's not giving up nearly as many hits. Again, that game he gave up 10. June 16th, he gave up 7. June 22nd, 6. But tonight, 4 hits. June 28th, 4 hits. June 11th, 4 hits. So, he's been giving up less hits since that start. And tonight, might rank up there as one of the more impressive ones of the season, considering he's going up against the Orioles. I know he's had some good starts against Milwaukee, who have a really good offense. He pitched really well against the Astros when he first came back from the injured list as well. So he's just
had a really good start against the Mets, for like a really good start, 7 1/3, one earned run. The next one after that.
He's just in general been real solid. Like I wouldn't say he's been like Cy Young caliber or anything like that. It hasn't, like the eye test, what you would probably be a little surprised that his numbers are as good as they are based off what we've seen, I guess, with our eyes. You know, that first inning, luckily Gunnar Henderson's ball stays in the park and it lands in Bellinger's glove. I don't win a bet. And, you know, there were a few other balls early on that, you know, were hit kind of hard, but he kind of just managed to settle down and get some swing and miss, get some ground balls, and just let the defense help him out. Miles Mastroboni, again, everyone knows that I'm one of his 5 stands, okay? But he had a great defensive play in the inning where it kind of started off tough for Taillon. I think he gave up 2 hits, but Mastroboni makes that diving play. A run scores, but he starts the double play, and you limit the damage, right? Ian Happ had a great play after that in the outfield to end the inning. You know, like, so he was great, but the defense was behind him tonight too. And this, like, tonight's game, I don't know where you rank the best wins of the season, but
it's up there.
Of getting all facets of the game, defense, pitching, and offense. This one's up there. Like the best teams in the league win games like this. They don't play in 1,000 one-run games. They don't, you know, play a lot of low-scoring games. They score runs like this. They get good starting pitching like the Cubs did, and it allows your bullpen to come in and shut it down in low leverage because it's a 7-run game, you know? So if the Cubs are going to magically turn this shit around, they need more of this, and they have the four of the last 5 games. Every win that they've had, the last 4 games that they've won, have been by multiple runs, and they've been scoring a lot. They have to keep doing this if they really are going to go on one of those insane runs that, you know, we all sit here and joke about them doing because we don't actually think they're going to do it. But they're 4 out of 5. They've won, and they've been scoring runs doing it. So it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. I won't lie.
I'm going to surprise you, Cody. I was reading through the live YouTube chat, which is the best way to enjoy the CHGO experience. Make sure you subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube page. We also love our podcast family as well. But I agree with Dionysus. I think Dionysus, AIS. I couldn't catch the whole name. I didn't understand the whole handle, but it said basically, I'm okay with if they traded Taillon or keep Taillon. Just don't want them to get the wool pulled over their eyes in a deal. I'm more to the fact of, with the way he has pitched, now I know his value would be going up if you look at that deal going up. But if you value him as exactly what I think he is, a 2 or a 3, he's an innings eater. You need this guy in the rotation. There's no sense in giving him away because you're going to have to go find the same guy again in the offseason. And it's not a crazy – people thought it was a crazy deal. It's not a crazy deal. That's the price of pitching. But if you can have your top 2 starters, right, in Imanaga and Steele next year come back, and then you have – that's a pretty good top 3. And then you hope that guys come along. I don't want to rebuild – I'd rather rebuild the offense than I would rebuild the entire rotation. Yeah. And so that's why he's a guy I don't really want to see them move if they start going to be sellers.
Yeah, it's I like you mentioned him. He is an innings eater. And I remember I did the one interview before 2023 with him, and when I was down in Arizona spring training, and he said innings are sexy, I think was his quote. And he is. I mean, you look, he got 6 innings today. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. His last 6 starts, at least 6 innings, with 2 of them being 7. So he's getting you deep into the games, and even before that, you add in, he had that 5 innings against the White Sox, but then 6 innings before that, 5 2/3 before that. So that's 9 straight starts where he hasn't gone fewer than 5 innings. I think it's 9, right? So, yeah, he is an innings eater. He's a guy you can depend on to go, or the Cubs have been able to depend on for most of this season. Honestly, stretching back to the second half of last year, like it's been a good, probably calendar year where he's been good for this team. And so, but especially this season, the Cubs have been able to rely on him to not only get them deeper into ball games and pitch, 6 innings or whatever it is, but 6 effective innings. Like the get deep into games and be effective while doing it, keeping the score low, keeping the other team off the scoreboard. Like that's what they're asking him to do. And again, that's what I'm saying is they're not asking him to be Justin Steele or Shota Imanaga. They're asking them to be Jameson Taillon, the innings eater, effective innings eater, and he's doing that very well the last, over a month, going on to a month and a half, 2 months ish. Like he's been doing that pretty well for this team for most of the season.
Yeah, and I see in the chat somebody saying it, and I agree with this too, that like, yeah, if Cade Horton is the dude or whatever you want to call him, then Taillon can be a 3 or 4. But the flip side is also true. When Cade Horton is finally ready to come up and healthy, whether that's this year, next year, whatever it might be, you can ease him into the rotation and let him feast on the bottom of that rotation before you have to say, hey man, we need you to be a 2 or a 3. Like that's not how you rush somebody into the big leagues. So I just think there are guys that are tradable on the team simply because I don't think you can bring back the same offense next year. But I don't know that moving Taillon moves you a step closer, which is what Cody's worried about, like not getting the value for the right guys. And I don't know that you're going to get the value for Taillon that you think you will get.
And this, you could say this about a lot of guys on the team, is if you trade Taillon, it's not like you won't have guys to insert. Like, I think the Cubs view Ben Brown as a starter down the road. Cade Horton as a guy. Of course, he won't be ready right away once you trade Taillon. But Jordan Wicks, he's a guy who's going to be coming back, right? Like Hayden Wesneski has had good innings as a starter. They have guys who can start, but none of them have the experience of Jameson Taillon in terms of just being just solid. Like you need to see more from those guys. Plus, the fact that this team has sustained so many injuries this year, and across the league, so many pitchers have been getting hurt. So it's hard for me to want to just be like, yeah, let's move Taillon. Now, the flip side, yeah, his value's as high as it's been with the Cubs, right? And if you get an insane deal for it, then I'm willing to be okay with it. But I also don't know if a team, like no team is going to be giving away their best prospect for Jameson Taillon, especially Jameson Taillon who still has 2 years left on his contract and is past 30 years old, like and like Luke said, you trade him, then you're still going to go out in the offseason and sign a pitcher,
You have to.
Right. So it's not, I understand the process, and he is one of the guys that probably has some of the highest value on the team that you can move, but at the same time, you're not really helping yourself going into the offseason either. Like if it'd be a lot different if this team was going into another rebuild of sorts. Mm-hmm. And I think all three of us can sit here and say that if they do end up selling off pieces at the end of the month, there is no acceptable reason for them to go into another rebuild for multiple years. Next year, they have to be a playoff team. I already feel like that about this year's team, but like at least coming into the season, right? But the point is, there really is no excuse to not try and be a playoff team next year. So you need guys who can eat innings, like you said, Ryan.
We got 13 minutes before we already started talking about 2025. I thought that was just funny.
I hate it. I hate doing it.
We're in that position. We're in that
every
position.
time a guy stock up, stock down hasn't started, but it's sort of started.
It's getting close to that point. But I will say the Cade Horton stuff. Let's not forget that he is still on the minor league injured list. Hasn't pitched since May 29th.
Right.
At I guess the beginning, like when he was put on the IL, the point was to shut him down 3 to 4 weeks. I believe it was something in the lat or shoulder area, like I think it was like a right lat strain is what the official term may have been. So the plan was to shut him down for 3 to 4 weeks from then, which would basically be to the end of June, maybe even early July, depending on how long that took. So not only is he still on the injured list, and you have to worry about just the rehab and building himself back up, that's on top of the fact that he's a minor league pitcher. He may not be ready to move up to the big leagues yet. So like everyone talking about like Cade Horton soon. Like obviously we've had to pump our brakes for a while now, for a month now, but it's also like, let's remember this is a guy that will still have to build back up, still trying to get through the minor league system. Like he may not necessarily be ready to really help this team this season because of that. He might. I'm not saying I'm not ruling that out at all, but there is still going to be some time where you have to wait for that guy to be ready to contribute to this team, especially if you're in August and September and looking at making a playoff push. Like that's a lot to ask of the guy. So yeah, just a little pump in the brakes on that one.
We're going to talk about Michael Busch's big game, and we're going to talk about Ian Happ's hot stretch here. But first, it's hot ticket deals we're talking about, Cody.
Yeah, the Game Time is the place to go for those hot ticket deals, all right? It's an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. What? You got the rest of the summer to get your tickets to Cubs. You want to go watch the White Sox for
Def
really,
Leppard
really
hasn't
cheap?
been here yet, right?
Yeah, Def Leppard next week.
Woo-hoo!
Next week at Wrigley. I'm going to Def
Hysteria.
Leppard and Journey at Wrigley next week. I think it's the night of the All-Star game, or maybe it's the night of the Home Run Derby. This is how much I care about any of that.
So
Because
you won't
I'm
be here that day.
No,
during
it's
the day. Yeah,
during
daytime podcast.
I'm sure we'll have a daytime podcast, and then I'm going to go to that concert that night instead of watching anything that has to do with baseball. All right.
Yeah, good point.
Because I need the break. You know, the players need a break from playing, and I need a break from watching them. All right. But thanks to Game Time, I'm going to Wrigley to watch that concert. I can't wait. All right. Use the app. You can use the app in many ways. You can see they have the zone deals. They also you can see exactly where you're sitting when you are on the app and you want to see the view of the seat. And that's one of the best things about it, because sometimes, you know, our friend Susie Hunter from DMVR, she told us this story like a year and a half ago. She went to Wrigley for the very first time, and she sat behind a pole.
Womp, womp.
And you know why? Because she didn't use Game Time.
Should use Game Time.
She didn't use Game Time. Use Game Time, you would have chosen that seat. You would have seen, oh, I'm sitting behind a pole. What am I doing? You know? But, you know, now that she knows about Game Time, she won't do that, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
You don't have to be her either. All you got to do is go on to Game Time and view those seats. That way you don't put yourself in that position. All right, so take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
It's grilling season. Get your pork. People who are active need more protein than the average American. In fact, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics and Dietitians of Canada and the American College of Sports Medicine recommend 1.2 to 2.0 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day for athletes, depending on their training. And the International Society of Sports Nutrition recommends that people like, you know, just me, involved in a general fitness program or no fitness program, or who are interested in optimizing their health, eat low-fat, high-quality sources of protein, which include lean cuts of pork. So elevate your protein game with lean pork, a powerhouse of natural goodness. Savor the flavor, savor the gains, and celebrate any occasion by enjoying the best pork produced by Illinois' pig farmers. From your sausage and bacon for breakfast to pulled pork, juicy chops hot off the grill, it's an entire season dedicated to pork and the people behind the product. Paid for by the Illinois pork producers, generations of commitment. Speaking of pork, Ian Happ provided the power for today's game presented by the Illinois pork producers. Savor the flavor, savor the gains, and celebrate any occasion by enjoying the best pork produced by Illinois' pig farmers. He hit his 14th home run of the season, a 3-run tater in the 4th inning to put the Cubs up 7-2. And for all of us that were worried about Ian Happ early in the season and some of his down stretches, he's back on track to doing what he's doing every year.
Yeah. No, I tweeted the numbers out. He's been on a tear for a long time, for a month and a half now. And I get, like, he had there was a May, or like, I think even like mid-ish April, like a little bit later in mid-April to like mid to late May. There was definitely a good chunk of games where he wasn't looking great. He was struggling.
He was bad.
Obviously, wasn't hitting for.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was bad, and he wasn't hitting for any power. Like, I think you saw the strikeouts tick up a little bit, maybe even the walk rate dip a little bit. And obviously the chat and our Discord and Cubs Twitter weren't very happy with Happ. But even he talked about I remember there was at one point where he even kind of meant, or maybe Counsell had been the one to say, but that he was in between, and just trying to get out of that little spot. And so I tweeted his numbers since May 26th, so over his last 39 games, and this is including today, if I can find it. There it is. Over the last 39 games, dating back to May 26, he's hitting 280. He's got a 1025 OPS, 41 RBIs, which I believe is the second most in baseball during that span, 26 runs, 10 doubles, and 12 home runs, including the 3-run shot tonight that we'll talk about who you got later, but it wasn't me who you got.
Well, he's got something here.
Just a quick little breaking news update, not Cubs related, but from Jeff Passan. Tampa Bay Rays shortstop Wander Franco formally charged with sexual abuse and sexual exploitation against a minor in the Dominican Republic.
Formally charged.
Formally charged.
We will never see him play baseball again.
That is very bad.
I don't know how charges
bad.
work in a different country. I don't know how their legal system works, but if it's anywhere like here, his career is very, very likely over.
Yeah,
so
we're never going to see him playing baseball in this country.
Well,
I don't know how those contract things work either, because he signed a pretty a 12-year deal with
so it was
Tampa?
something big, right before
Over $200 million?
Maybe the season before, year before.
Big
Convicted
news.
of that, I would guess it's void.
Yeah, I would think so.
If convicted of that.
It's very bad update news. I mean, good in the fact that he was charged, but a bad situation overall.
Yeah.
Back to
Ian Happ.
Great Cubs win today.
Great Cubs win today.
Ian Happ is I was looking at numbers today because some people were yelling at me because I said he's been awesome this year, which he has been based off the numbers that Ryan tweeted out.
And he's a guy that has had his slumps in his career. Not slumps,
I think this
streakiness.
There are things that are true about Ian Happ. He can be streaky. How many players in baseball are streaky? A lot of really good ones, that's for sure. All right. I think we can all agree that he's not a superstar. Right? He might be a borderline star because I think you can argue that he was snubbed from the All-Star team this year based off the numbers that Ryan had said. And I think the thing that's holding him back is the fact that, he struggled in April. And there's a lot of really good outfielders in baseball too. So, and it probably doesn't help either that the Cubs are the third worst team in the National League record-wise, right? So all these things. But he himself individually has, to me, he's been better than the All-Star season this year. He's slugging more this year than he has the last 2 years. And we've talked about about how he changed his approach and changed as a hitter after the 2021 season, because it used to feel like he was more of a all or nothing guy because he would strike out over 30% of his plate appearances, but he would slug more. But then the last 2 years, he's been more of a professional hitter, a contact hitter. His strikeout rate went down, but he made more contact and got more hits. But this year, I feel like you're seeing more slug. I mean, you have a 1,025 OPS over the course of a month and a half, and 13 home or 12 home runs, 41 RBIs over the span that you're talking about, which is the second most in baseball. To me, that's doing a lot more than just being a professional contact hitter. You know what I mean? He's with 12, 13 home runs. If he keeps up this pace, he's going to surpass the number he had last year on home runs. I haven't really changed my mind on how I feel about him as a player. I just think he's a really good player. He's a guy that I honestly think a lot of the fan base underappreciates. But right now, offensively, he really has been carrying this team for not just a week or two. It feels like over this entire span, I feel like he's been carrying them. He hit those 2 home runs on July 4th to avoid getting swept against the Phillies. Those were huge, Would have been absolutely embarrassing to get swept by the Phillies at home. Had a good weekend against the Angels, a good game tonight, and a game that, honestly, they needed to win,
And the other guy is Michael Busch.
Yeah.
4 for 5 tonight. And I think Boog asked JD during the game, if I were to tell you, all these numbers, that your best offensive player the first unofficial half of the season was going to be Michael Busch, what would you say? And he said, I would say that he's exceeding expectations and that other guys were below expectations. And so if I'm looking for 2 guys on offense that have done their job, Happ and Busch are the two guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I would put Seiya right. I think quietly he's had, he himself is having a good offensive season. I think the problem is, and like why guys aren't there's no superstar hitters on this team. Like
No,
the one who was you were hoping was going to be close was Seiya. Like after that second half of last season, the way he hit and re-signing Bellinger, you're hoping he could continue that success he had and just
get closer to his MVP.
Yeah,
form
right. And like
creep back towards that.
Yeah.
And I think the issue is that just none of those guys. There's no superstar bat on this team right now. So like a lot of these, like I think it's more hope than it shouldn't be like expectation that these guys are all of a sudden outplaying all their career numbers. But I think people are like, we're hoping that was going to happen once they weren't getting superstar bats.
The Cubs were. I think the Cubs were banking on.
They were.
Either
they were
Cubs
definitely
were banking on Morel or Seiya or
we
somebody.
criticized the front office
That's
for
fair.
this.
Right?
That's fair.
That's exactly what they want.
But I'm saying like it shouldn't have been like expectations. So I'm saying is like the people that are like frustrated with all these guys is like expecting them to have outplayed their contract when like that's more hope than expectation. Like guys, especially a guy like Happ who's like he's hitting like he's always hit. This is the hitter he's been the last 3 going on 4 years, right? But like so like yes, they're not superstar bats, and no one's been able to carry the offense like Suzuki did for a lot of those last 2 months last year, for what Bellinger, what he did at points last season. But as Luke mentioned, like Michael Busch, he had his own few week rough patch. He's turned it back on and he's hitting the ball really well. Happ, of course, we just talked about earlier, had his rough patch, but he's turned it on in the last 39 games, like to a different level. Seiya has been quietly good, except for his own, slight rough patches and stuff. So like, I think what clouds really looking at these guys individually is the fact that the offense as a whole hasn't been great, and no one's been able to carry that offense. But individually, those I would say definitely Busch, definitely Happ, and Suzuki's right there with him as well. As just like having overall really good offensive seasons that are just kind of getting lost because the offense as a whole has been inconsistent at best, if not just bad for larger stretches of time.
That's the disappointing part, right? Like Michael Busch is playing so well, and it's almost like if they don't make the playoffs, you're gonna forget how great of a rookie season he had. First 4-hit game of his career tonight, 6-game hitting streak for him, and he has a hit in every game in July. Dude's on a tear right now. I mean, he's been awesome all year, but yeah, the little rough patch there a couple weeks, but.
And he actually went 4 for 6. I think you said 4 for 5, but 4 for 6.
4 for 6. Excuse me.
Shout out to Shane for correcting us in the
Thanks,
chat.
Shane.
Good job. Keep this guy.
Credit to me for yesterday comparing 2 mystery players: Anthony Rizzo's first stretch with the Cubs and Michael Busch first half of a season with the Cubs, and it's not too far off.
Right. Well, his home run tonight. You know how we always talk about like or I don't know, we don't necessarily talk about it all the time, but I've always believed that if the team that scores first or if you score early, it kind of just sets the tone for the game. You know how like in May and June, this team was starting the game down early. Whether if it wasn't the first, it's the second, third, fourth inning. You're allowing a couple runs and the offense is struggling. You feel like you're down 10-0 because the offense is struggling and it's only 2-0 in reality. And Michael Busch hitting that home run in the first inning tonight. I know it's only 1-0, and I know Gunnar Henderson was a few feet from tying it up. But at the end, like the point is when you score early and you score first, it does set the tone of the game, and it does give your team more confidence. It gives your pitcher confidence too that he can go out there and at least be a little bit more free, and you don't have to be perfect. So him hitting that home run tonight was huge and part of just the offense in general. And he just continues to hit, and he continues to be way better than what anyone expected. Even what I expected, and I expected him to be really solid this year. I looked yesterday, he already has a 2.0 Fangraphs WAR, and we're not even at the All-Star break, man. Like, if he keeps playing at this pace, he's going to be a 4-WAR player before the end of the year, He's been awesome.
Real quick, I know we had a super chat earlier in the first segment.
Yes.
And let's get to that real quick. Matt said, tell the chat to enjoy a great win instead of wetting their pants about the guys who had bad games.
That's not my burner account. That's not my burner.
I assume that has to do with maybe Dansby Swanson tonight.
That is one of my favorite super chats of the season. That's awesome.
It's just nice to win one, guys.
It is. It is
Kevin
nice.
Malone, me.
And against a good team, too. Hey, we're going to
Very
chop
good
it up
team.
about the newest Hall of Famer coming from the Cubs organization. But first, it is seltzer season. Penrose Brewing in Geneva, Illinois. Seltz-ups and hard seltzers with real fruit, led by Lemon Seltz-Up, a national gold medal-winning hard seltzer with real lemons. They created our unique twist on a lemon shake-up with a house-made hard seltzer and pureed lemons for a throwback to warm weather and county fairs. Also available in Lemon Tea-Up, a half-and-half inspired hard seltzer. Just released this year is the Transfusion Seltz-Up, inspired by a popular golf cocktail with grape, ginger, and lime. Penrose available at your local beverage retailer or visit Penrose's Tap Room in Geneva. For more information, go to penrosebrewing.com or follow them on social media at Penrose Brewing.
And I got to tell you about Cuts Clothing.
Oh,
Who doesn't love a nice-
Cuts.
Is that how we're Cuts?
Cuts. That is not a Panther roar. That is a Cuts.
If we had
Gotta
if we had a no context CHGO Cubs Twitter account, this moment would have been perfect.
Maybe
for
when
it.
you say cuts, we should all go roar.
All right, John Schriffen.
Okay.
Hang on. I think I got that in here. But go on with the
Okay.
first.
But yes, Cuts Clothing. Get ready to be the most stylish of your crew this summer with Cuts. Most guys would wear a T-shirt every day of their lives if they could. The problem is that most T-shirts are not acceptable to wear at work or out on a hot date night. Today's sponsor, Cuts, has finally changed that. Cuts T-shirts are such high quality, wrinkle-free, and so buttery soft that you can look like you're dressing up even when you're dressing down. And yes, Cody, you did hear that right. Wrinkle-free.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Hell
You never
yeah,
have to
brother.
substitute comfort for fashion ever again. Dive into summer with Cuts for a limited time. You can save money on Michael Chandler's favorite clothing company by heading to cutsclothing.com and use code CHGO for 20% off. I do love the wrinkle-free aspect of it 'cause,
Mhm.
I don't have to worry about throwing a shirt in the dryer and
Right.
getting the wrinkles out or using a wrinkle release spray. Like it's that easy.
It's always better to look good than to feel good.
Yeah. Not only has Cuts completely changed their T-shirt game, they have tons of other simple yet sophisticated items. Their bottoms stretch to fit joggers look way better than your khakis and are 1,000 times more comfortable. All of their clothing is as comfortable as athleisure, but fashionable enough to wear to work or backyard barbecues. And the best part, Cuts Clothing is built to last. Their durable construction means you'll be enjoying your favorite shirts and pants for years to come, making them a smart investment for your wardrobe. Embrace the summer state of mind with Cuts. For a limited time, our listeners get 20% off your entire order when you use code CHGO at checkout. That's 20% off your order at cutsclothing.com with promo code CHGO. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Experience the perfect blend of style and comfort with Cuts Clothing. Can I get that?
Oh my god.
Oh, Jesus.
60% of the time, it works all the time. Cuts Clothing. Roar.
With that said, can we please acknowledge how delusional I'm definitely going to be about Hunter Biggie for the next 2 weeks?
Oh, wow, huh?
Yeah. That was
Hitting Hundo.
Yeah.
First major league strikeout. Boy, the
Pitching,
chat's been after him coming up for a long time.
We had
rightfully
a-
so, honestly.
We had a biggie chat in here.
Biggie,
I mean,
biggie,
I want to give.
biggie,
It's not my
Can't
bit,
you
so I want to
see
give credit.
some- Yeah, there we go. Like, we should
Nice,
every
man.
time he gets, if he has a hold or something like that, we
Yeah,
should come on here and sing that song.
We're going to Biggie size that win.
Biggie size? Biggie bag.
Isn't that what McDonald's used to do? Biggie size stuff?
I don't know.
Super
I just
size.
know I'm
Super
loving
Super
it.
size.
Yeah.
We got the Biggie bag. Take Wendy's, I think.
Oh, that is.
Uh,
Oh, I
Wendy's
thought
has
that
the
was the
Biggie bag.
Mando ad.
Anyway, Pitching Ninja tweeted out that strikeout, and he said in the caption, "If you don't know, now you know," which is from that song.
There you go.
Biggie.
Yeah. So,
That,
anyway,
that is not
Hunter.
actually from that song. That's Juicy. If
Oh,
you
it
don't know,
is
now you know it's
juicy. Yeah. Well, you know,
Lucy, you so juicy.
Notorious B.I.G. is a legend. All right, I'm sorry. He
Yeah,
has so
it's
many
not
good songs. Anyway,
You want to talk about Biggie?
I do want to talk about him
All right.
because it was awesome. First off, 100 miles per hour. All right,
Yeah.
we've talked about for years about how this Cubs bullpen doesn't have any high velocity dudes. And this is why people like me and people like the psychos in the chat and I'm putting it in a nice way, psychos,
Right.
all
Sickos.
They've been talking about how this
Affectionately.
team doesn't have any high velocity guys in the bullpen, and I'm not saying that he's your automatic closer. I'm not saying that he's gonna go on to be a Hall of Famer or anything like that right now. I'm just saying that it's nice to have someone like this to go with Porter Hodge, to go with Luke Little, and you're starting to see some things come together. And Leiter Jr. came back off the injured list tonight. He was good. Tyson Miller's been solid for you. Like you said yesterday, Luke, if there's anything that I do legitimately feel good about going into the second half of the year, it is the bullpen, which is crazy to say. But Biggie, good. It was 9-2. The game was over. We know it's not in high leverage, but that was a great inning for him to get his major league debut out of the way. And now he's got to get into that circle of trust with Craig Counsell, and we'll see what happens. But I'm really optimistic about him.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think it's always funny because was it after 22 or maybe it was after 23? It was at some point within the last since we launched.
Nick Birdie.
I'm talking about.
He was the other guy.
Oh, yeah.
He had velo. Was he the first one that hit 100 in 8 years?
Yes, we sat here and we sickened. We sat here and we just with the sick face
It
said
was
it.
Chapman. And before that, it was nobody.
No, but yeah. So I remember Jed talking about wanting to get to a point where the bullpen was constantly full of guys that came through a system, obviously the velo guys and whatever, but just guys that they kind of molded and came through their system and their infrastructure. And that's it. I mean, not that it felt like a pipe dream back then, but you had so many guys that were still lower levels of the minors that you weren't thinking oh, this could happen next year, whatever it is. Right. But now you're finally starting to see whether it's Biggie, doing what he's done and I think I've seen at some point why wasn't this guy up earlier? Why he hurt his oblique. I want to say it was the last appearance he made for the Cubs in spring training. So he didn't actually get into a game until was the end of May or something like that. Or May 28th was the ACL Cubs. June 1st he pitched for South Bend, and so he didn't pitch for Iowa until June 4th. That's just over a month ago. So the fact that this guy had to rehab some stuff and then now he obviously came back and was doing really well there. But I think it was still a little bit of we need to make sure this guy's doing everything we need him to do on an everyday basis. And he quickly showed that he was. So back to my point, whether it's him, Porter Hodge, and Luke Little are guys that have started to earn more higher leverage roles because, as we talked about, their main issue early on was just command and control and walking guys that. They had elevated walk rates, but I think that last road trip, especially in San Francisco, is something that Craig Counsell pointed to as what those guys were able to do on the road trip was really impressive. And that's how you see when you see guys consistently, especially the young guys, just consistently, are able to fill up the strike zone and are able to get that chase because they're filling up the strike zone. They're not walking a lot of guys. That's how these young guys earn the high leverage spots. And it's going to take some time for them to do that. It's going to take some time for Hunter Biggie to do that. He's probably not going to be thrown into a save situation his next time on the mound.
Right.
But if he can have outings like he did today, if he can continue to flash the velo, the stuff, fill up the strike zone, if he can do all that, it's not that Craig Counsell is not opposed to using young guys in more important situations like that. He's not someone that thinks this veteran guy is automatically better than this young guy. It's not the way he operates, but these young guys do have to kind of earn that spot and earn that trust. And so Porter and Luke are a little closer to that, having been pretty good for a while now, at least the last few weeks, and earning that trust. Biggie, if he can do what he did today, should be right behind them on that path to earning the spots that we do want to see these young guys in. Right? We do want to see these young guys with the velo, with the awesome stuff. We want to see those guys in the back end of games because those are just in baseball, the guys with the highest velo, guys with the best stuff. Those are the guys that you are generally make up the back ends of bullpens. It's just going to take some time to get to that spot for young guys, but those guys are definitely all on the path right now. And again, Biggie's first time on a major league mound. Those other guys are a little ahead of him, but we could totally see that kind of stuff shift as long as they continue to earn that trust.
The key for all three would be command control. like throwing strikes.
Yeah,
You start throwing
strike.
strikes and you're throwing that heat. Now you're better off. And more of that velo is coming because Merriweather threw at Iowa tonight. Right now, he's not as young as those other guys, but he's the guy that got the job done for you last season. Leiter Jr. activated with Ethan Roberts optioned.
And had a 1-2-3 inning today, right?
And Cam Sanders, another high velocity guy, right?
It's a name we saw.
Up to AAA.
And a name we heard.
Yeah. We went to
back
Ryan
up to
went
AAA
to
after being
Iowa
demoted
last year
earlier in the
Kirsten.
season. And I saw that people were raving about Caleb Killian's outing
Yeah, I haven't
in a
looked
rehab
into
tonight.
I haven't looked at what he did. He
3
didn't-
scoreless, I think I saw.
Was that what it was? I haven't looked into what he did today, but I know he wasn't box score wise. Like I didn't dig into what his numbers were in those rehab outings, but box score wise wasn't amazing. But I think the other part of it is like he's been out since spring training. Like just get him in games, get him on the mound, get him feeling good, get him back in that zone. And so like he's maybe a guy that at the very least provides depth in the bullpen, or I don't know if he'll be starting at all, but at least very least provide some bullpen depth with all these other guys that are also coming back, right? Like Assad should be good to go this week at some point, this weekend, and would rather he's probably going to go back in the rotation, but then like Wicks and Ben Brown potentially later in July, regardless of who ends up back in the rotation. That's just like any of those three could slot back into the rotation at that point when they're all healthy. If they're all healthy at the same time, don't knock on wood. But regardless of who it is in the rotation, that's going to benefit the depth in the bullpen too. And so you're just seeing that throughout the. I think that's the whole point. Is like they're not there yet, but they have so many guys that are close to coming back, especially on the pitching staff, that like you could see it and you could see it at the finish line, but they're just not there yet. And that's what they're trying to get to, and obviously weathering a storm until they can get there. Yeah,
and for the young guys that are trying to do it, this is the hardest step. The hardest step is to going from noticed prospect translating to the major leagues. It's not going from single A to double A or double A to triple A. This is the big jump. So we'll see which ones are able to do it here. We had one more super chat on the Biggie size. I saw that Carrie told us it was Wendy's that did Biggie size. Yeah, Biggie size my fries, Biggie size my Frosty. That was probably my order.
They still have the Biggie bag. You can still get that. It's like
you can still do that.
$5.
As if I didn't say that.
Ryan,
I don't remember. I referenced the song.
I listen to Stucky. I don't know.
The
Biggie bag.
Notorious B.I.G.
I get the Biggie
songs.
bag all the time.
Anyway, Sir Silent of the Fogs.
Yeah.
Instead of Super Chat, it's Biggie Chat. Great W.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's our
$2.
first Biggie chat of the season. $2 from Sir Silent of the Fogs.
Thank you, sir.
Love it.
Every time Biggie does something awesome, you have to come in the chat and send Super Chats to say this is a Biggie chat. Thank you.
Did you see the news tonight on Twitter? We got a new Hall of Famer from the Cubs organization. Ryan's favorite player, Alfonso Soriano.
Can you do that again?
You can't see me.
All right,
really?
John Cena's got a year left.
Well deserved. Well deserved for
I didn't see that. That's
the
awesome.
Latino Baseball Hall of Fame is going to induct their 11th class ever. Listen to these names for this class: Andrew Jones, Johan Santana, A-Rod, Felix Hernandez, Alfonso Soriano.
That's a class.
That's a lot of good players.
That is a lot of good players.
That's a lot of good players.
I used Andrew Jones on my immaculate grid today. Former
Really?
White Sox and Dodgers legend Andrew Jones. Yep. And Orioles legend Andrew Jones. No.
He was a good player. So
No, never
Soriano, I always wonder what he would have been for the Cubs had he not literally torn his quad off the bone. I mean, it changed him as an outfielder completely. It changed him as a base runner completely. There's no way as a hitter it doesn't change you in some way.
Yeah. He was just one of those guys. When he was right, though, he'd go on one of those, like I think Javi was a good example of a type of heater that Soriano would go on. Morel, not necessarily this year, but in previous years, Morel has gone on good streaks like that too. A guy that can carry a team for 2-3 week stretch, right? So he was a special player for the Cubs. Just in general, not even just the Cubs. Obviously, his best year was probably the 1 year with the Nationals. He had the 40-40 year. But he had good years with the Yankees too in Texas. So
he was just a good player.
He was definitely one of those guys underappreciated too. I mean, they booed him at Cubs convention 1 year.
Come on.
They did, yeah.
I don't remember that.
He
but
should have gone up there.
It's all part of the Cubs cornerstones about him on Marquee. I
They
watched
booed
it
him?
one time.
I have to watch
They
this sometime.
talked about it. They talked about how at Cubs convention 1 year he got booed.
Let's not forget that he got traded for Alex Rodriguez. No context, no, money wise, other players involved in that, whatever. He got traded for Alex Rodriguez, prime Alex Rodriguez. That tells you how good Alfonso Soriano was.
He was a really fun guy to watch from the bleachers too. He was like all-timer with the fans.
Yeah.
Had so much fun out there. You guys, you would yell whatever you want. He would turn around, he'd laugh, he'd dance, he'd do whatever. I mean, he was an all-time vibes guy at Wrigley too.
Yeah.
Twig says we're forgetting all the strikeouts.
Well,
No, we're not.
Well, there
forgetting
were strikeouts, but at least he hit home runs.
them. Yeah, sure.
Lots of them.
412 in his career.
What was his war?
He was a great hitter.
What was his war?
And like I said, I just don't see how that type of injury, when it impacts all those other things, how an injury to your lower half could not also impact your swing completely.
That's where all your power comes from, is your quads.
He had broken fingers.
Yeah.
He had all kinds of stuff.
Is he in Cooperstown yet? Sorry.
No,
He's got to be almost there, right?
I will say, yeah, right.
I don't
Yeah,
think so.
if he's gonna be in Cooperstown, there better be a plaque of him wearing that shirt he wore to Wrigley 2 years ago
He
that
had a
said "Hot Dad Summer" on
Yeah,
it.
Yeah,
had a
his
6.7
two
WAR.
postseasons with the Cubs were disappointing.
He had a 6.7 WAR with the Cubs in 07, so that's
6.7 WAR.
it's pretty good.
In 07? Wow.
It's pretty
That
good.
was
Mm-hmm. That was
the
that was
2
a fun
years
year.
they won the division back to back. That
and then got swept.
well, yeah.
Don't have to
He had
remind
a-
us.
he had a-
Those were his best years for sure.
He had a
with the
3.8 WAR in 08, although he missed 53 games, so that's still pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good considering you missed 50-some games.
Yeah, so let's not forget.
Yeah,
Alfonso.
412
Congrats.
homers in
Sorry.
his career.
Yeah,
112 OPS, 8.9 OPS
Yeah.
player, 819. I mean, yeah, he's
412
I
career
think-
homers. Yeah,
I think I put him on my Cubs Mount Rushmore, didn't I?
I think you might have.
It was like him, Henry Blanco.
Yeah.
Henry Blanco.
Yeah. I forgot
John
who else was on
Mabry.
it. No, I don't remember who else was on. No, he was definitely on my
That
on my
era.
Mount Rushmore.
Well, Miles
Juan Pierre
Mastroboni
was the
got on
third
my
one.
Cubs Mount Rushmore tonight, so hell yeah, brother.
Biggie. Mount
Biggie's
Rushmore.
going on
Yeah,
yours?
Biggie's going to the Mount Rushmore now.
What's going on your Mount Rushmore now?
Why not? Let's jump ahead with it.
Is there a third ad break here? Not sure.
No.
Yeah.
Is there?
Fired up.
According to my
Maybe
notion,
there
it says no.
Technically not. Hey, how about the broad? We didn't mention this the other day.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah, but how about the all-women broadcast over the weekend?
On Sunday. Yeah, Sunday.
Tip of the cap to Marquee and the Cubs for doing something
They
that was
are.
great. And not only that, the three were doing a great job. Elise
Yeah.
Menaker, Beth Mullins, and Taylor McGregor.
Mm-hmm.
Long overdue. Pretty cool to see. And great to hear. It was a good broadcast. Really good broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted it out. I tweeted the one time I tweeted about it during that game. I just like, and this is more so just in general, but I always like hearing stories from other people in the industry, like the media industry, and their journey to getting to where they're at. You know, like you don't just graduate college and get to go play sideline at Wrigley Field,
Right.
you know, and like you don't get to, you know, and that's what, you know, a lot of Cubs fans know Taylor McGregor and Elise Menaker for, but they worked really hard to get the opportunity in general. You know, like me and Ryan and you aren't sitting here because we, you know, just applied for it one day and you know, we're higher. Like we worked really hard to get to where we're at, and it's not easy, and this industry isn't easy. So especially for females too. So yeah, it's awesome that the Cubs gave them that opportunity. It has nothing to do with whether you are a fan of their broadcast style or whatever, but in terms of, you know, just inspiration for other people out there that, you know, might feel like they can't do it. Like, I think they're a great inspiration for people out there who are interested in trying to get into this industry, which good luck. It's tough.
Yeah, and I interact with Elise and Taylor a lot, being at the ballpark as often as I am. So I see how much work they put in to get whatever stories they're bringing on to when they're reporting or whether they're in the booth, whatever. How much work they put into that, how much work they put into getting to know the players and getting to know the team, getting to know the game itself. Like they do a lot of work, and I'm sure Beth Mullins is just like that too as well, putting in the work and putting in the hours and the effort to really try to do a good job. So yeah, it was very was good of Marquee. Obviously, we'll give them props. We don't always give them props, but we'll give them props for doing it.
Credit to you,
for
Marquee.
putting that for putting those 3 on the broadcast on Sunday. And I, personally, I didn't get to watch. I was obviously at the game, so I wasn't watching the broadcast. But everything I heard was very good feedback, and they did a great job. And like to me, that's not surprising, knowing the work they put in to do that, to just prepare to do their jobs. I think they do a really good job, and I'm sure they did a good job on Sunday as well.
I think it was pretty representative of Chicago broadcasting in general. Like Chicago's pretty blessed with a lot of women sportscasters that do a great job. Like they make up a good, probably not enough of the portion of sportscasters in town, but over the years you've had a lot of really great women sportscasters that and still do a great job and frankly outwork a lot of the guys sometimes.
Yeah. Layla Rahimi's right up there as one that
she works like 7 days
been
a
in
week.
the industry for like for a long time.
Yeah.
She's great. Yeah, and she does everything, So I was surprised they didn't go back to the women's broadcast tonight, considering they were 1-0 with the all women's broadcast. But
But now that they did it, JD's back.
Yeah. So
JD and Boone.
Anyway, all jokes aside,
no,
it's awesome.
I will say this about Elise too. I've never met her. When I heard her on the radio broadcast, she was filling in, doing pre and post. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, for Pat, right? For Pat a few weeks ago?
Zach was in for Pat. And
Right.
then
Yeah, you're right,
Speaks was out. Speaks was doing something.
You're right.
Matt Spiegel, and then so they put Elise in there.
Right.
Yeah, she was outstanding. I mean, it was just great interviewer, great statistics, great analysis. I mean, to be able to do TV and radio is really, really hard, and she does both very well. I just give her flowers. I've never met her, but she's very talented, and that was a very fun broadcast.
Well, and somebody's mentioning, Cam says Sarah Kustok is the GOAT. My friend Sarah, she's the first woman in NBA history to be a full-time analyst in the NBA. So, I mean, that's another.
She works on the Yes Network,
born and
right?
raised in Chicago,
Brooklyn, right? She went to Brooklyn.
Yeah, she does all kinds of stuff for Fox, and she
Shout
does the
out.
Brooklyn Nets.
No, shout out
Calls
to
the games the Brooklyn Nets.
Shout out to those 3 though.
Shout out
sure.
to Kustok too.
And Kustok.
Hey, shout out to you guys. Time's running out. You got to sign out for the Cookout Classic. That's our big golf outing that's coming up here this month, July 22nd. It's a scramble at St. Andrews, and it's going to be a good time. I already have my foursome filled out, so if you guys can beat us, more power to you. I'm not a good golfer, but I got a few ringers in my club. A few ringers.
Uh-oh.
I heard got some younger kids.
Heard you were putting together an all-star team. You and Steven putting together an all-star
Well, Steven's very worried. Steven's very worried. Because Steven takes it very seriously. And so I've just been spreading a list. Listen, I've got some golf team guys on here. Got some golf team guys. I got college kids coming.
I really don't want to
Big
go
hitters.
play. I just want to go and drive the golf cart.
Did you see the
All I want to do.
the GIF or GIF or whatever you want to call it that Ryan tweeted of the golf cart
Yeah.
dropping us off?
He's gonna just floor it and we're gonna go flying.
Yeah.
Let's just hope Braggs isn't. I hope he's done with his knee surgery by then. I'm just assuming he's going to have knee surgery.
Yeah.
You think he's going to be able to play?
I do not, but I would assume that he'll be on a golf cart drinking heavily.
Yeah.
Hopefully not driving that golf cart.
Yeah.
The video of him absolutely smashing a line drive slice right into the water with him and Carm last summer was so funny. Have you seen that video on Twitter?
No.
That's a great video. I'll show it to you after the show. Phenomenal. Like Carm's like chirping him from the sideline, lets him hit, and then he smacks one right into the water. It's so funny.
Oh gosh.
Golf is a very unforgiving sport.
So fun though.
Well,
So
we're gonna
yeah,
have a good time. That's not our only one. Then we have one later in the season, the Kickoff Classic,
It's literally like,
which is at Cog Hill last year. I think it's at Cog Hill
aren't
again
they like
this
the
season.
same
I'm not
week?
sure.
Are they not the same
No.
week?
No, it's later in the season.
Kickoff
Is
Classic
the
is August
Kickoff
23rd,
Classic.
I believe.
Yes,
August
okay.
23rd.
I played that one last year. That was fun too.
Nice.
Putting together all-star teams over here.
Joey was on my team. Joey and I just hacked up the course. There were divots everywhere. For all the Stevens that are listen, you don't have to be great to show up to this event. It's about hanging out and having fun. We have a big lunch and awards for the worst and the best and all that stuff afterwards. Some people take it very seriously, and then Joey and I occasionally drop a ball and kick a ball. That's just the way it is.
Mm.
You can hate me for it. I don't care, but I'm not going to – if a ball goes into the woods, I'm not getting poison ivy. I'm just going to take out another one out of I'll even use a driving range ball. I don't care.
Yeah, the people who say the Pro V1s make a difference in their game, okay.
They might make a game in their difference.
Maybe
They don't
Stevens.
make. I got new clubs. My game hasn't changed.
I've been playing pretty well this summer. I won't be able to make this one, but I will be in the kickoff classic, so I got that date.
Barb says invite Ryan's dad. I bet he's a good golfer.
The King of Elk Grove.
King of Elk Grove. Is he
The
going to be
King
in
of
Carroll
Elk Grove.
String?
He'll not be in Carroll Stream. He
Oh,
won't be
the
joining
King of
us.
Elk Grove. He doesn't leave Elk
Doesn't
Grove.
cross
Yeah,
borders.
Ryan,
He doesn't cross borders. Yeah,
golf?
he's not coming to the watch
No,
party.
I've golfed once in my life. It was very hard. Took me the first 9 holes to get it in the air on a drive. So I haven't been back. That was 2 years ago.
We'll hit the range.
The last time I went
Go to the
golfing
range.
was for a bachelor party.
How'd that
And
go?
all my friends are married now, so it's been a while.
Now, here's a question. You have a better golf swing or a better baseball swing?
They're both equal.
Because your baseball swing has been attacked on this podcast.
Yeah, I know. When we were talking
Yeah.
about the women's broadcasters, like Elise, the one time I've met her was right before I went to go take those hacks, in
She
which
was
I
roping 'em?
proceeded to make fun of myself.
Yeah.
She was very encouraging, by the way. She was like,
You could do
you
it.
gotta. She was trying to give some tips,
She's like, good job. Good effort.
She was like, no. You
Meanwhile,
have the
Lance,
wrong hand above the other hand.
Lance Brosnowski was like, I'm coming off, and he's like, just a little outside there, dude, or something like that. Like it was like sarcasm while also, trying to like let me down very lightly. But
Yeah.
Craig says, Luke, try the senior flex shafts.
I don't even know what that means.
They have clubs for seniors.
Oh, okay. There you go.
They have balls for seniors, too.
You probably
Softer. They just kind of
Are they like brighter?
If-
Are they brighter so that
No,
when
they're
your eyesight
softer,
goes,
so
you can
when
see
your
it?
slice doesn't go as far, you're only hitting the ball 150 yards is what they figure. And I'm kind of that guy. I'm like a 220 yards for every shot, no matter what club it is.
Better to put it straight than out to the right
Yeah.
in the
can't
fairway.
putt. Can't putt. That's the killer.
Did we ever give love to the defense to Happ and
I did.
and
Happ and
Mastrobuoni?
Yeah, he
I
did.
did.
He did.
I did.
Happ and
And
Mastrobuoni.
Bellinger robbing the
Mastrobuoni
home
had a
run.
hell of a game, by the way. 2 hits, 2 walks, the great defensive play,
Yeah,
run scored, stolen base.
he didn't strike out either, like you
Oh.
you mentioned to us. Well, that's
Yeah.
interesting. All 3 of our who you got picks had good defensive plays, but only my who you got pick hit a 3-run home run. So I think I win who you got today.
Yeah, you win. Who you got? Barb wants to know if I use an orange ball in golf. I'm not above that.
Should I read
Orange ball, pink ball, yellow ball.
Should I read out the standings of who you got? I got it right here on this piece of paper.
This is so ridiculous that we're even listening to whatever stats he's put
How is
together.
it ridiculous?
This is a bar napkin. Some girl passed him at
Actually,
Murphy's
it's the
one day.
Milwaukee's.
This
It's
is
the
the
Milwaukee
Milwaukee
Brewers.
Brewers.
It's
This is the back of what's the
It
score?
says it's a
scorecard.
bar napkin that says "Call me," and then it's got who you got picks on it.
But
I
I mean,
didn't
hey,
even put the number
Luke,
on there, huh?
I have every game written down. You can go.
She's like,
and
you
look
figure
at
out those
any-
numbers.
I have every game written down all season. You can go ahead and pick a file with any single one and look it up and bring it to the
Dude,
new commissioner.
This is so much more funnier after wins. That's for sure.
I lead the league with a 378 winning percentage.
Sure.
Brendan second with 254. Luke is third, 241. Cody fourth, 156, and Corey fifth with 125.
I'm winning the senior tour. That's what I've heard.
I think
Yeah, well,
I think Corey has stopped putting in.
Corey hasn't put
picks.
one in like probably a
Yeah,
month.
I put my first one in tonight, and like first time in like 3 weeks. So, listen, Miles Mastrobuoni, us stands, guys. We dreamed of times like this.
We
all
did.
right. I see chats in there. Everyone's saying, "Oh, we got to play Mastrobuoni now. We got to play." Don't keep that same energy, all right? Because for a year and a half, I've had to read all of your mean comments about a guy who barely plays. All right, keep that same energy. You cannot. I'm not letting you on the bandwagon. There are 5 of us. I don't even know who the other 4 people are, but I'm just having some hope that I'm not the only one out there. Us Miles Mastrobuoni believers, credit to us. Credit to us.
Also, Roki is updating us that the Pirates are up 12-2 on the Brewers in the 8th right now.
Oh, picking up a full game in
We're
the
going to be
standings.
9.5 back in the division. Don't let me talk myself.
Don't get into it.
Don't
Cody.
talk myself.
Full
Don't
game
let
in
me
the
talk myself
standings.
into
Where
it.
were you when they picked up a full game? And Shota tomorrow against Corbin Burns.
Win 7 in a row, and the Brewers lose 7 in a row. Next thing you know, we're right there. Don't let me talk myself into it.
Hey, hit the like button on the way out. We'd appreciate it.
Shota versus Corbin Burns.
You gonna be all right
tomorrow.
before we go?
No, I'm dying over here.
I got to mute you.
Yes.
Mute him. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs postgame show podcast. Cubs win 9-2 Again, Shota on the mound tomorrow. You can get that Shota shirt.
AllCHGO.com. CHGO Locker.
The CHGO Locker. It is sick. Check it out. We'll be back here for the post-game show tomorrow. Hope you will, too. Until then, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.